is everybody today? Let's talk change. One of the things I took away from the Atomic Habits book is that nothing will change if nothing changes. In other words, in order to make progress, there has to be change. So before we get into that, hi, I'm Tish. I'm just a gal trying to recover my health. I've been dealing with some big illnesses, and I also battle addiction in all forms, just about. I'm also a TBI survivor, multiple TBI survivors. So sometimes all of these things that I got going on can complicate things, especially since ASD makes me not want to change ever, and ADHD makes me get bored with routine. And so then I kind of have this little fight inside my head that can never be won, right? But in terms of getting my health back, that's where this came into play for me. This nothing changes if nothing changes. So my previous way of eating got me tremendously overweight, and my previous way of living in the rocker, in the comfort of the rocker and the recliner and the bed and the air conditioning and all of that, got me very weak with no endurance or stamina. Now, if I want to change that, am I going to be able to change that with my current habits and my current eating plan? No, I'm not, because my habits were set up to get me to this place, even though I didn't understand that at the time. I didn't understand that my habits were leading me into something negative rather than just being neutral. Like, I knew they weren't super healthy, but I honestly did think that they were neutral, that I wasn't that sedentary, and I wasn't that far off the beam when it came to eating healthy. Turns out I was. But I've said before, a lot of times you can't change everything all at once. Maybe somebody can, but I can't. I'll get overwhelmed if I change too much. I can only change a little bit at a time. And this week, I had a really interesting conversation with someone, and they asked me, what are you willing to change to have that life that you want, to have, to go to El Salvador and not have pain, or to not be a drag on the group on the hike, being the last one? What are you willing to change? And I had to really think about that. What am I willing to change? And I was like, I've changed a lot of stuff. Okay, yeah, I have. But when you look at my food log that I send my coach, I almost never hit the macros. And not in a good way, right? I just eat what I want to eat and move forward, right? Is that going to get me to my goal? Maybe if I'm lucky, but I doubt it. The more I learn about habits, the more I realize I want to set my habits up to succeed, not to take a chance that what I'm doing is neutral and not going to hurt me. So, what am I doing? Well, the first thing that my coach and I worked on was sleep, and then steps. Grounding is part of sleep. You see me post those all the time. Sitting out in the sun, that's part of sleep. Steps, one of the things I found out is the more active I am during the day, the less likely I am to have like leg cramps and things like that at night. Now, I don't know if that's like a rule of thumb for everybody, but that's just how I am. Now I need to start dialing in on the nutrition, I feel like. I've been real reluctant. I made a few changes here and there, like I got rid of Starburst, which reminds me of one thing I wanted to say. If you take something away that's been part of your life, basically part of the scaffolding of your life, what are you going to put in its place? So for me, the trade-off was, okay, I'm going to take away sugar in the processed form, but I'm still going to allow myself the berries, even though when y'all first met me, I was distraught over them. It's important to have full buy-in on the things that you're doing when you're trying to change things, because if you don't really believe in the habit that you're trying to establish or change, it's not going to work at all. You have to really be like, this is my jam, this is what I'm going to do, and nobody's going to stop me, and it's going to be fabulous, it's going to be great. So I'm getting there to that point with nutrition now. I mean, gradually, he already convinced me to stop eating anything that's processed. And even if I do eat something processed, I can hear him in my head, which is a big deal, because I think in pictures, not words. So to hear him in my head saying, really? You want that? You sure? You sure that's good? Is it healthy? Is it going to hurt you 10 years from now? You know, all of these arguments that about food, I can hear in his voice. So, nothing will change if nothing changes. And what am I willing to change? So I'll let you know how the food tracking goes, the nutrition and everything. Anyway, have a great evening. Bye.